Hello viewers, welcome to the Ink Warfare channel. My name's Trevor. This video is part 4 in our all-time top 5 mask-wearing characters. Drawing the all-time top 5 mask-wearing characters. That's my opinion, all-time top 5 mask-wearing characters. That's a mouthful. It's hard to deny the number 2 all-time character here. And if you haven't guessed, I think there's only 2 characters that could be in the top 2 positions. I mean, it's debatable, but I think you'd have a hard time pleading your case against these 2 characters. So if you haven't guessed yet, my number 2 is Spider-Man. I mean, how can it not be Spider-Man? Maybe in telling you that it's Spider-Man, you're going to know immediately who the number 1 character of all time is, in my opinion. Might not be your opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think. What's your top 5? Spider-Man is, he's one of my favorite characters. Always has been. I was into Spider-Man well, even though artists like Todd McFarlane really sealed the deal as far as Spider-Man being one of my favorite characters. I was a Spider-Man fan long before that. When I was a kid, I had the Remco. It was like a stiff, immovable figure. I don't even think you could call it an action figure, really. And I think you had a rope a string that you could tie, from like a doorknob to something else, to your couch or whatever. And this Spider-Man guy, that he might have been about 12 inches, I'm not sure. I don't have him anymore. Probably got broken long ago. But when I was little, I had that Remco hard plastic Spider-Man that would zip down the string. It was just a molded character. His arms, I don't think his arms or legs moved at all. I think I had the Superman version as well. I think all that I have left of the Superman version is I might have the Kryptonite rock that it came with somewhere. Maybe. I haven't seen it in a while. But all that I have of the Superman figure, or the Spider-Man figure, is memories. Maybe if you're watching, you might have had that figure as well. And that's going back, I think early 80s, maybe even late 70s. I'm not sure what year. I didn't look up what year that toy came out. But that was probably my first Spider-Man toy. And when I was a kid, sometimes if you were lucky enough, I can't remember if it was on like TBS or some other channel that no longer exists. Well, maybe TBS exists still. I'm not sure. I don't have cable anymore. You might catch the Spider-Man live-action movie, and I think it was a short series too. I apologize if I don't know the history of the Spider-Man live-action series, but when I was a kid, I had Spider-Man comics and stuff like that, but just seeing Spider-Man, no matter how hokey, in the costume, live action, that was a big deal. I could only have dreamed of the Spider-Man movies that are when I was younger that had come out since, whether it be the Sam Raimi movies or the Tom Holland movies, Marvel movies, or even the Andrew Garfield movies, which I, in my opinion, weren't that bad. I kind of liked the Andrew Garfield Peter Parker. But anyhow, yep, I think you'd be hard pressed not to put Spider-Man in your top, at least your top 5. Like I said, he's number 2 for me. And the number one character, they could easily be swapped back and forth. Now I'm drawing this on like a deleter paper that's pretty much like a lightweight Bristol. And right now I'm using a Tombow Fudeno Senki, the blue pen, which I like a lot. I think I'll do most of this drawing with that pen. Oh, I just switched the pen. I spoke too soon. This is a Faber-Castell Pip pen. It's an extra small. Spider-Man can be tricky because you can go, you know, if you're drawing Spider-Man, you can go, I guess, as detailed as you want. You always have to bear in mind that the webbing on the costume is going to play a part. So sometimes if you overdo it, it can get kind of muddy, which hopefully I don't do in this drawing. But I think I look back at Todd McFarlane's illustrations when I was doing this, and very rarely did he do any rendering on the face. You know, there was maybe some backlighting at times and stuff like that, but he had come up, I think he was the first, as far as back as I remember, the first illustrator to draw Spider-Man with the gigantic eyes. And he took a lot of liberty with that. I wonder what I've never heard the story. As far as, I wonder if he had a difficult time getting that approved. But then that just started a trend where I think when he left, I can't remember if Eric Larson took over on the book and continued with the gigantic eyes. I did not. My eyes in this illustration are, I would say, like a medium size. They aren't the smallest. They don't have the heavy black like the earlier version of Spider-Man. So it's kind of an in-between, you know, your traditional John Romita Sr. Spider-Man and your Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, which had a big impact on me when I was younger. I used to drool over Todd McFarlane's art in Spider-Man. And actually, I don't know if Todd McFarlane might have been one of the first illustrators. He did have a lot of rendered lines in the costume. You know, he had, you know, if you go back and look at his illustrations, I don't even know how to explain it. You know, he had a lot of detail, a lot of things going on, but it worked, and it all seemed to mix together in the end. You know, he'd have little scribble lines all over, little dots, dashes, lines of dashes. Well, here we go. This is the tough part for me, and I can't imagine doing this over and over and over again. The webbing on the costume. It's just got to get so boring. You know, you hear people say when you design a costume, you want to think of, especially if you're going to be illustrating it over and over again, that to keep that in mind, that you're going to have to draw something over and over again. You really don't want to have it too complex, too complicated, because you're just going to get tired of it. And Spider-Man, he's stood the test of time, but his costume is not at times the most enjoyable to draw when it comes to having to draw all the webbing, in my opinion. It's very tedious. And then you always have, and one challenging thing about the webbing too is you have to think about it. It has to convey the overall shape of the figure, of Peter Parker's figure or Spider-Man's figure. So you have to take that in consideration with how you lay out your lines. and then trying to get the tighter areas to mesh with the wider areas. You know, it tightens up around the neck and then it expands back out around the chest. It's tricky. Spider-Man's costume is kind of tricky. Going back to the action figures, I mean, one other memory I have of my uncle had. I have a lot of cousins, and I think I'm one of only 3 male first cousins in my family, and well, four, but one lived out of state, and I'm the second oldest of all our cousins. And my grandmother, when I used to go over to, I have an uncle he's about 10 years old, a little more than 10 years older than me in age. So he had some of the Mego figures. And when I used to go over and would be at my grandparents' house by myself, my grandmother I was really good with my toys. I'll just say that. And my grandmother would let me play with my uncle's Mego dolls, or action. I don't think you'd call them action figures. I never had the Spider-Man one. I had the Batman and Robin and the Superman. But my uncle had the larger Spider-Man, and it was in perfect condition, and that was always fun to play with. He had the lizard. Man, the lizard was great. The Mego lizard was a really cool character. I don't know how rare the lizard is. I have to look that up on eBay. But yeah, that's another early memory of playing with Spider-Man toys. You know, I have some of the early Spider-Man, not early, but for me, probably, have some issues of Spider-Man going back to the 80s, early 80s. And then, when I really got into collecting collecting Spider-Man when Todd McFarlane took over Amazing Spider-Man. I collected before that. All the Spider-Man comics were really something I usually tried to pick up. Web of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man. I'm trying to remember some of the artists that I should have looked it up before I started narrating this video, but yeah, I was a pretty big Spider-Man fan. Back when I was younger, I don't recall there being too many comic book stores. Definitely nothing in my general area within 30 miles. I remember my dad taking me to some places that there's 2 major cities about 30 miles east and west of me, and they each had maybe 1 comic book store that I could think of. Got a memory of going to one of those stores that we very rarely went to because it's just not nearby, and bought the Marvel Fanfare, and Spider-Man was in the symbiote costume, and I still have that issue. Really great cover. Otherwise, I was at the mercy of whatever the local drugstore had. There's one local drugstore that carried comics that was down the street from my grandparents, so I'd always go down there and see what was on the newsstand, and then you'd go to the checkout counter, and you try to pick out the cleanest issue with no bends in it or anything, and then you have these older ladies that are working the register at the drugstore counter, and you're watching them trying cringing as they bend the comic, trying to put it into a paper bag or whatever. The way they handled the comic books, they had no idea that how to handle them, and that they that they'd even be worth anything. That collectively, that was kind of what you had to deal with, back then if you were buying, just from a grocery store or a drugstore. And we also had this really cool newsstand and a like a goods store that carried office supplies, they'd usually have like a magazine section that have some comics. So that's where my comics usually came from when I was a kid. But anyhow, so I was trying to decide whether to make this, just to keep this as just a portrait from the neck up. I included the spider just because there was enough room and it seemed appropriate. So like right here, you know, you trying to decide how much rendering I'm going to do on his head. Spider-Man's a character where you really don't have to get out of control with rendering his mask and stuff if you don't want to. But I thought probably for the sake of this video, I might try to get away with some rendering on the head. I was really hesitant about the nose, and you can really mess up the shadows, the nose shadow, fairly easily. So my light source is on the left-hand side of the image here. That's where I'm picturing the light source being. Didn't have any form of reference for this particular illustration. Getting a little scribbly here, but I think I'm gonna end up covering it up a little bit and refining it. Squiggly rendering can work. You can make it work. There's plenty of artists that have over the years. So Spider-Man, originally created, according to the interwebs, in 1962 by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. First published in Amazing Fantasy number 15. Great cover. Great cover. If you go back and look at that Amazing Fantasy number 15, it's an excellent cover. Apparently, I guess I never knew this, but Jack Kirby had done the cover pencils, and then Steve Ditko did the inking, but the interior pages were created by Steve Ditko. And if you go back and look at that cover, I love the way that the blue in the costume is rendered. There's a lot of blacked out areas with just a little bit of light on the edges of the legs and the sides of the torso and underarms. It just looks great. It's really one of the quintessential covers of all time. I think you'd be hard pressed to disagree with me on that. Just a memorable cover, great cover, and character that has, to say the least, some longevity. If you're watching this video, I'd like to know who your favorite Spider-Man artist is. Maybe your most memorable Spider-Man issue, favorite Spider-Man actor to portray Spider-Man and Peter Parker in the movies. It'd be interesting to know that. So drop me a comment if you feel like so doing. This illustration will be up on my website, inkwarfare.com, eventually for sale after the video is posted. I'll probably do a short and the full length, well, abbreviated full length video and then I'll post the illustration on the website. But you can also follow me on Instagram at ink.warfare. Or like I said, check out my website, inkwarfare.com, or just continue to watch my videos. If you like what you're seeing, if you've seen my other videos, appreciate it if you'd like the video or subscribe, just so a little feedback helps. If I see some likes, it helps me to kind of discern, what kind of videos people want to see. I'm giving Spider-Man a heavier outline here around the head. Kind of like that effect. I'm just kind of doing a little bit of final rendering on his head and neck. I'm really trying to decide whether I'm going to go forward and illustrate any of his, chest and deltoids or not. So it's taken me a little while to get to this video because I'd been sick for a couple weeks. Had some kind of a nasty post-nasal drip sinus issue, and I really couldn't talk very much. Started out as a sore throat. So I'm just finally getting to this video. I would hope to have had it done about a month ago. And then this coming week I'll follow up with the final video in the series. I've got to tell you, if you're watching this, I'm getting more. I started posting shorts on YouTube, and I'm getting more response, more views, a lot more views on shorts. So I don't know if I'm going to focus more on just doing shorts or continue with these longer videos. These longer videos take a lot more effort to put together, to edit, to narrate. As if you can't tell, I'm not much of a narrator. I'm trying to share a little bit of how I go about drawing things on here, but I don't get a crazy amount of views on my longer videos. So I might just end up focusing on shorts for a little while. And I have some other projects I'm working on that outside of YouTube that I can't really post or show anybody, at least for the time period. So I have a mural that I've been asked to do, and I'm exploring the possibility of doing that digitally and having it printed, which would be a lot easier than traveling to the place where the mural would have to be up and painting it, which would be very, very time consuming. So I'll try to do my best. I kind of want to do a few more G.I. Joe videos. If you're watching this and there's something you'd like to see me draw, just let me know in the comments. Since I started this channel, I have received very few comments, and I don't know what to think of that. Myself. So now since I started a YouTube channel, I'm trying to be a little more conscious about liking people's videos. I don't really leave comments because I think looking at my analytics there, a lot of the people are using a television to watch my videos most of the time, which isn't conducive for leaving comments. I know that. Right here, so I sat on this drawing for a little bit, and then I decided to come back and draw the top half of his torso, to draw the chest. So I'm just penciling it in with my Color Ace pencil, just to get a basic idea what I want. And this is pretty much just like the rest of this drawing, it's off the cuff, freehand, not a lot of planning. Maybe you can tell. No pencils. And I don't have any a reference off to the side on this one that I'm looking at. My kids, they went to see the new Avatar movie this weekend. I have not, other than bits and pieces, I have not seen any of the Avatar movies. Doesn't really interest me. But they really liked it. My older son, he was going just so he could see the new trailer for some of the new trailers that were, I think they played part of the Christopher Nolan Odyssey movie, like maybe 6 minutes of it. I thought I had heard or read but my kids did like the new Avatar. They went to see it in IMAX with 3D. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the IMAX. Just it's too much in your face. And I think the last 3D version of a movie I went to see was maybe, I think they were showing The Hobbit maybe in 3D and we went to see it. Otherwise, I'm kind of cheap. I don't like spending the extra money for I don't like spending the extra money to watch something in 3D when it really doesn't matter to me whether I watch it in 3D. I think when I was a kid, 3D, 3D has come and gone several times, kind of like bell bottoms and Beatles, well, the Beatles have never really come and gone, but I mean, people's interest in them, you see younger people and they become interested in the Beatles, and then it's like they're the only people that had ever discovered them. It's kind of like watching all these trends from the 80s and 90s come back, like clothing trends and stuff. And I'm sure when I was younger there were trends from the 70s that had come back, and my parents thought the same thing, like, oh, that's really nothing new. When I was younger, 3D had started to make a comeback. I remember there was some show that I think was going to be on TV. I can't remember if it was like presentation of King Kong or something, and you could get your 3D glasses. Man, did you get them at the grocery store or something like that? I might be wrong on that, but I think it was King Kong was going to be on TV, and it was going to be in 3D. There was another movie when I was a kid that was in 3D. Man, I think it was called like The Forbidden Zone or something like that. So it's one of those, I don't know. 3D doesn't really do much for me. IMAX doesn't really do much for me. I'm kind of happy just to go watch it on the big screen, whatever it is. We don't have a movie theater that's really that close by, so it's kind of a little bit of an issue. The closest movie theater is about 30 miles. Otherwise, I'd probably be going to the movies a lot more often, if I had a movie theater that was around the corner. If you're watching this and you're paying attention, I might get a little flack about the costume here. I didn't cut in the red portion as far into the chest as I think it's normally drawn. I think that normally cuts in a little bit. I just cut it in right under the armpits. So honestly, I wasn't even thinking about it when I did it, and I probably would have cut it in a little bit more into the chest. But I'm probably, I'm sure there's been some professional artist that's done that before on one of the issues. I'd have to look back at my. Let me grab my trade paperback of the Spider-Man Torment by Todd McFarlane. And actually, I think he cuts in to the chest with the webbing pretty. Man, yeah, he cuts in about he keeps about 2/3 of the chest in the webbing. tell you, if you pick up this trade paperback, the Spider-Man Torment by Todd McFarlane, it's a Lizard storyline. I mean, I haven't read it in a while. I just kind of cracked it open for some reference. I look at this book and I just realize why I love Todd McFarlane's illustrating back when I was a kid. There's so much detail. I mean, a lot of line work that he didn't really have to put in there, but it adds to the illustration. Like on about the center of the book, there's a close up of Spider-Man's face and profile, and he adds all these little specks and lines and stuff, and they when he does that, they kind of collectively add to the overall image. But that's why Todd McFarlane was so big, and continues to be big, even though I don't think he's illustrated anything in a while that I recall. Like there's a image of the Prowler towards the back of the book that's the Prowler's cape kind of frames an image. So much detail and line work. He was so good. I think Todd has to be one of the quintessential Spider-Man artists. So I did plan on leaving this with just from the collarbone up with the spider on the chest, but I decided to go back in and finish out the bottom of the illustration. Then I thought about redoing the whole thing all together because I thought it looked kind of looked a little too static. But I was really doing this is just part of this series on the masks of some of these characters, like the all-time top 5 masks in my opinion, and that's really what this illustration was about, just illustrating the mask of Spider-Man. So that's why I was kind of hesitant about going into the chest and stuff and the shoulders, but I decided to post it this way, and maybe I'll do a different illustration. I kind of worked up a little sketch on my iPad of Spider-Man coming towards the camera with his webbing and stuff, or towards the viewer. I'll have to work on that just as a standalone video, maybe even just a short. So we have in my area we've had a bit of wind today, and our power's gone out twice. So I'm trying to squeeze this in. The wind settled down a little bit, but I guess it's supposed to pick back up again. So I'm hoping to get this posted tonight. And I just have to do my put together my cover thumbnail. Before time runs out on this video, I just want to see if I could encourage you. If you like the video, if you like any of my videos, please select the like button and check out my other videos. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from anybody that's watched the video, good or bad. I'll take with the good with the bad. I haven't been getting a lot of comments, hardly any at all, so which is not kind of what I expected. But like I said earlier, my shorts have been getting a lot more views than these longer form videos. This one's going to end up being about like 45 minutes or so. I think I've said in my other videos I do the music, the editing, the narrating, good or bad. The narrating is a stretch for me. So I decided to go back in here and kind of heavy up the shadows on the right side of his chest. It'd be the left side of his chest, but us looking at it on the right side, because the light source is coming from the upper left-hand side. So I'm going to feather in more shadows, leave a little backlighting there on the chest, and then darken up this neck. I kind of didn't like the Adam's apple placement initially because his neck's twisting. It should be a little bit off to the side, and that back of the side of the neck is really going to be a little bit more in shadow. I thought about doing something with the background on this too, but honestly, to be completely honest, this is I've been working on this in several sessions just because of time, the holidays and whatnot. So I just want to get it posted, and I've got to get on to drawing the next video in the series, the final one, which will be my #1 pick for top all-time mask-wearing character. If you're watching this to this point, you probably can guess who it's going to be. There's not many characters that are much more popular than Spider-Man. So there's a big clue. One is now Spider-Man's a Marvel character. I'll give you another clue. My #1, he is a DC character. So I think that kind of gives it away for you. I mean, there's really only 2 DC characters that are, DC has 2 major, hugely popular characters, and one of them doesn't wear a mask. So I'm getting close to the end here, just adding a little detail on the chest here. If you've made it this far in the video, I really appreciate you watching and giving me your time. And hopefully I'm inspiring other people to draw as well. That's kind of the purpose of this video. You know, I kind of enjoy putting some videos on where people are drawing or painting and just working along on my own project at the same time. And hopefully, you know, I'm inspiring somebody out there to do some illustration themselves. Maybe younger person, older person, doesn't matter to me. But if you're still watching at this point, like I said, I greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to keep at these YouTube videos. It is very time consuming, and doing my best, and hopefully with every video it's getting better. I don't know, that'll be your opinion, but thanks again for watching, and have a great night, or night, day, morning, whatever it is.